Subscribe to my channel Report Stock.
Okay, welcome everyone. For those of you tracking developments in medtech, especially diagnostics, J Diagnostics, Inc., that's NASDAQ, BJDX, they've just put out that latest business update.
That's right. And they're a company really focused on what they call near-patient solutions for critical care.
Exactly. So today we're going to dive into that update. Our mission really is to unpack it, cut through some of the corporate speak, and pull out the key nuggets. What is J actually doing? Why does it matter for patients? And what's coming up next for them? We want to give you a clear, informed shortcut, basically, on where this company stands.
And what's fascinating, I think, is how just one press release can give you such a comprehensive look. You see progress across clinical trials, manufacturing, even their financial strategy.
Yeah, all crucial pieces.
Especially for a company aiming to make a pretty big impact, and quickly, in critical care.
Right. So when we talk about impact, let's start with the core tech. The Symphony system. What exactly is this system? And what's its main product trying to do?
Okay, so the Symphony system itself, it's designed as a platform, meant to be cost-effective, rapid, and used right there near the patient.
Makes sense.
Its first product candidate is the Symphony IL-6 test. It's engineered to measure a specific biomarker, interleukin-6 or IL-6.
And that helps with?
That measurement helps clinicians figure out patient acuity for sepsis, for triage and monitoring. But the real standout feature, speed.
How fast are we talking?
It delivers results in approximately 20 minutes. That's from taking the sample to getting the result.
Wow. Okay, 20 minutes.
Yeah, sample to result. And that speed, it's not just nice to have. In sepsis, it's potentially life-saving.
Explain that a bit more. Why is that 20-minute window so critical?
Well, with sepsis, every hour treatment is delayed. The mortality risk can jump significantly, maybe like 8% per hour, some studies show. So getting that diagnostic information in 20 minutes instead of, say, hours.
It's a huge difference.
Huge. It lets medical professionals make much earlier, potentially better, decisions about triage and treatment. It could improve patient outcomes, maybe even prevent organ failure or an ICU stay.
It really changes the dynamic right at the bedside, isn't it? You can imagine a doctor getting that actionable data so quickly. That immediate feedback helps them act fast.
Exactly.
Okay, so that speed is impressive. But like any new diagnostic, it needs solid proof. Clinical evidence.
Yeah.
That brings us to J's Simon clinical study program.
Right. The clinical validation is absolutely key.
So what's involved in this Simon program? What are the stages?
So the Simon program has two main phases. First was Simon I. That's NCT 06181604 if you want to look it up on clinicaltrials.gov.
Okay.
That was the pilot study. It focused on figuring out IL-6 levels and how they relate to different outcomes like 28-day mortality, in-hospital mortality, things like that. And they reported it as a successful pilot.
Good start. So what's next?
Next is Simon II, the pivotal study. That's NCT 06654895. Its main job is to validate what they found in Simon I.
Right. Confirm those initial findings.
Exactly. It's specifically looking at how well IL-6 levels predict 28-day all-cause mortality in ICU patients.
And where are they with Simon 2 right now?
They've started patient enrollment. The update mentions early signs show continued clinical momentum. They seem to be on track to finish the sample testing for Simon 2 by the end of 2026.
Okay, end of 2026 for testing.
And then the target is a 510(k) submission to the FDA sometime in 2027.
So that lays out the path on the clinical and regulatory side. But getting a test like this actually to patients involves more than just trials, right? What about the operational side, manufacturing?
That's a really critical point. Yeah, you can have great trial results, but if you can't make the product reliably and at scale, you're stuck.
So what are they doing there?
Well, they're working with Sanyo Seiko. That's their contract manufacturing organization, or CMO, for the Symphony Analyzer itself, the machine. But then there's the cartridge, the consumable part. And for that, they're advancing plans to get cartridge redevelopment and validation manufacturing set up with a different qualified FDA-registered CMO.
Why the separate effort for the cartridge?
It's about ensuring they have a robust, regulatory-grade supply chain ready, not just for the clinical validation they're doing now, but for when they hopefully commercialize. You don't want manufacturing to be a bottleneck later.
Makes sense. De-risking the supply chain.
Precisely. And related to that, there was an update to their agreement with Toray Industries. This was back on July 23, 2025.
Okay, what changed?
They amended the license and supply agreement. The key part is it extends the timeline for J to establish alternate cartridge manufacturing out to October 2026.
Giving them more time to set up that parallel capability.
Exactly. And importantly, the amendment also confirmed that Toray finished its know-how transfer and its final supply obligations.
Ah, so that helps Blue Jay become more independent in their manufacturing going forward.
Yes, it strengthens their control over future manufacturing. A pretty important strategic move for long-term viability and scalability.
It really sounds like they're trying to secure that manufacturing independence. What happens if companies don't nail this down early on?
Well, it can be a major hurdle. You might face delays, become totally reliant on one supplier, which is risky, deal with higher costs, maybe even IP complications. Getting manufacturing right and having options is crucial.
Absolutely. And, well, all of this, the trials, the manufacturing setup, it takes money, significant capital.
No doubt.
So how are they funding all these steps?
Good question. The update mentions that back in April 2025, Blue Jay raised gross proceeds of about $3.85 million
How did they do that?
through something called the warrant inducement financing. It's basically encouraging existing warrant holders to exercise their warrants early, turning them into shares and giving the company cash now.
Okay, so some recent funding came in.
Yes, but they also state pretty clearly that they anticipate needing additional capital through 2027. That money's needed for, well, manufacturing readiness, finishing the clinical trials, and all the regulatory activities.
So more fundraising ahead.
It seems so. They say they're actively looking into strategic and institutional financing options, exploring different avenues.
And the CEO, Neil Day, kind of echoed that, didn't he? Mentioning they're actively engaging with strategic partners and capital providers.
Right. It signals they know they need that financial runway and are working on securing it.
Okay. So looking forward then, what are the key milestones or catalysts we should be watching for?
They actually listed several upcoming potential catalysts, things like picking and onboarding the manufacturing site for that cartridge redevelopment.
Right. Nailing down that second source.
Yeah. Completing the actual specifications for the redeveloped cartridge and getting it ready for validation. Then, on the clinical side, seeing patient enrollment accelerate in Simon Sick and maybe getting some interim data.
Any data readouts would be significant?
Definitely. Also, starting the analytical validation studies, that's lab-based testing, and of course, ongoing news about those partnership and financing discussions we just talked about.
Got it. So quite a few things to keep an eye on.
Each one represents another step towards getting this platform potentially ready for a market.
Okay, so let's recap. We've dug into Blue Jay Diagnostics' latest update. We covered their Symphony IL-6 test for sepsis, that rapid 20-minute result time.
The critical need it addresses.
We talked about the Simon clinical trials, the successful pilot, and the ongoing pivotal study with that target 2027 FDA submission.
Right, the pathway to validation.
And then the operational side, the manufacturing strategy with Sanyo Seiko, and the move towards independence with cartridge production via new CMO and the updated Toray deal.
Building that foundation.
And finally, the financial picture, the recent funding, and the acknowledged need for more capital, which they're actively pursuing. It really paints a picture of a company pushing forward on several fronts.
It does. I think Neil Day's summary captured it well-focused progress on multiple fronts, clinically, operationally, financially. They seem to be positioning the Symphony platform for scalable development and working hard to show its value in sepsis care.
Which, as we've discussed, could be hugely impactful.
Absolutely.
So here's something to think about as we wrap up. How might these kinds of rapid, near-patient diagnostic tools, like the Symphony IL-6 test, really reshape how we manage critical conditions like sepsis, not just in the hospital ICU, but maybe even, in ambulances, emergency rooms, or maybe even remote healthcare settings down the line?
That's the big question, isn't it? The potential ripple effect is significant.
Definitely something to ponder.
Subscribe to my channel Report Stock.